Hey everyone, Andrew here, and today we're doing another tool review from Park Tool. Okay, so these are the tools that I currently use in my shop working on bikes, and it's probably one of my favorite tools because all of these suck. This is way, way better than all of these, but when I started out, I didn't have this because it's a pretty expensive tool. It's about $40 to $50 for this, and I didn't want to spend that, so I was trying some alternatives I just found around the house. The downside is that all of these tools make cutting cables really difficult compared to the Park Tool cable cutter. All right, so I got a piece of shift cable here. I just have it tied up, and I'm gonna cut the cable just right here. So you might be having to do this if you do a cable replacement, you're cutting the end of it. Here goes, I'll show you what it looks like. So line it up. Okay, so that was a good push, and you can see that the cable is kind of cut through here, but not all the way, and it's kind of smushed it down a little bit. So I'm gonna try another good push on that same spot. All right, another good push. You can hear more fibers have started to break, but I'm part way through the cable now. Let's do one more sort of good push and see if I can get it through. This is a two-hand job. Doing a great job of smushing this cable. My hand's starting to hurt quite a bit. Did I get through? So we're almost through, and then you can see it's quite frayed on both ends. One more try here. I think I can get this. Cable, little ends flying everywhere now. So it's, oh, there we go. Okay. So here's the finish that's sort of left behind, kind of a smushed end. There's a sharp end here. And there's a lot of fiber sort of around. Not a great finish, and way too much effort to be doing. That hurt my hand quite a bit, and if I had to do that multiple times during like a full cable overhaul or something like that, I would not be enjoying anything. And if you had to cut the cable before putting it through housing, now you've got a rough end that has to go inside the housing, and it's going to cause damage inside the housing, or it's not going to go through smooth. So they work, but they don't work that well, and I would probably recommend avoid using something like this. Even though it eventually cuts, it's not really a great option for cutting cable. All right, so the second option I just picked up from a local hardware store. This is a metal cutter, soft metal cutter, they described it. So bigger jaws, they kind of come together here. I thought it would be good when I bought it, but then it wasn't that good. So this tool was still kind of cheap, 15 bucks, something like that. I thought it'd be okay, but I'll show you why it wasn't great on the cable behind me. So this is with the cable sort of in the middle of the jaws, which you might find yourself using. It just doesn't cut it. It kind of slides in between, it pushes the jaws open and doesn't actually cut the cable. It just leaves the cable quite frayed at the end, like this. So now if you have to put this cable through something, you've essentially damaged it. It's all over the place, partly cut. And that can happen. I mean, we did get a good cut. What about at the top of the cutters here, if I'm at the top? Same problem, it gets this happening again. So this tool is really sensitive to where you cut it. We're getting essentially terrible cuts on the cable. We're getting this frayed end, but it cut okay at the bottom here actually. That's more where you want to see a nice smooth cut. So kind of hit and miss. I think it kind of works, but it also kind of doesn't. And then when you move to brake cable, which is a little bit thicker, it has more problems, and it tends to not cut it that well and just kind of makes it smush out like this. So again, another option that works, but then the problem is the effort's okay, it cuts, but you end up maybe getting bad cuts. And our next option is like that as well, and I'll show you those ones next. So these are our next option here, Aviation snips. You can use it for cutting metal of all sorts, whatever. Opens up kind of similar to the next ones, thinner jaws on this one. So we'll try cutting it here, 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 and we'll see how it cuts the cable. First, I'm gonna try cutting at the tips of the cable, or of the cutters, and we'll just see what happens here. So if I cut it right here, yeah, same problem. It doesn't cut, it just pushes them open. Let's try a little bit lower, middle. Yeah, same problem. Try at the bottom. Yeah, it's not even going. So it's just smushing the cable. I'm pretty sure we could tighten this bolt down a little bit and maybe get it a bit better, but you can see the blades are already touching through adjustment. Like they're pretty tight together. There's just too much flexibility within this tool to really get us a good tool. This is more designed for cutting flat sheets of metal. So when you start cutting like a cable, a little thin piece, See, we're getting some fibers cut, but it's not really even cutting on this one. Just sliding, the tool is just moving. So you don't want to be hacking cables like this, because you can see it's like it's progressively kind of cutting it, but it's just leaving the cable mangled, and you don't want mangled cables. Can't even get this to cut. Ow. Just cut my finger. All right, so we've been through our 3 not so good tools. We're on to our Park Tool cable cutters, and you'll see why I like these so much. I talk non-stop about how much I like these. So you can see on this tool, the area for cutting is actually quite small. It's a very small hole where the two blades are going to intersect, and it's designed just for cutting cables. All the other tools are designed for sort of cutting metal in general, but this is designed for cutting just cables. So it does the one job, but it does it really, really well. You've got the area down here as well, where you can pinch the cable ends on and just sort of do that compression with them too. So a little bit more of a bike-specific design there. But I'm going to cut the cable with this and show you why I like it so much now. So we're back at the cable. This one you can see again, the cable, it fits in that groove really, really well. And I'm just going to give it a quick squeeze, and you can see how easily that cuts. I'll do it again. Grab some cable, put it in here, squeeze the handle, cuts the cable. So this is way easier than every other option. It's one-hand operation. I just squeeze the handle, cuts the cable. So I'm getting a really good finished end to the cable. So if I have to put this through cable housing, it's perfect. If I have to put an end cap on it, it's perfect. It's not going to unravel on itself, and it's leaving it in the best condition possible. So this is the ideal situation you want to find yourself in when you're cutting cables. So thanks for checking out our video on the Park Tool cable cutters. Let us know in the comments, do these work well for you, or have you found some other options that work a bit better? Needless to say, I hope you found this helpful and you start cutting your cables well, precise, and fixing your bike all that little bit better. See you in the next video.